Hello all and welcome back to FRS Season 4 action in Xbox Division 1. We are here, round 11, taking a visit to the traditional season opener of real life F1 here in Melbourne. Only 2 races left to go as we head to Australia to take a look at the beautiful Albert Park circuit. A definite challenge for a lot of the drivers here. Just over 5 kilometers, 3.295 miles, 3 DRS zones, but only 2 detection points. Those first 2 DRS zones tied by 1 detection point on this 16-corner circuit. Plenty of chicanes to work your way through, and it's all about trying to carry speed through those in order to get good runs down those DRS zones and have an overtaking opportunity into turn 1 and turn 13. But otherwise, the street circuit layout is definitely a challenge for a lot of the drivers. We'll take a look at the driver's standings now. MJ Povey out on 178 points, has clinched the driver's title at this stage, but the fight for P2 and P3 is very much on, with QX Nemesis on 118 points, Housefan Nick only 5 points back, and the other Aston Martin of LC Fighter just about to cross that century mark. We sit 5th at 72 points, still just holding out ahead of Brenschel, and then there's a bit of a gap down to El Gloverino. And then Voki in P8, who has had some bad luck this season, but is definitely a podium pace level driver. We'll see if he can turn around. Both the Alpha Tauris are together, Johan and Issei, just 1 point separating the two on that balanced attack. Cryptic, MJ Povey's Constructor's teammate, down in 11th, only 35 points to this season, has shown pace in previous seasons, but not been able to hook it up this time around. Mid Falcon in 12th, Jinx in 13th, and Pep Meister in 14th. Then you have the Red Bull teammates of Gali and Kem tied now on 21 points apiece. Then Sid in 17th, then Statman Joey and Stanier 13 and 12 points. Backwash Boy in P20, and Cameron Slater just the 1 point to his name so far this season. But now we'll take a look at the Constructor Standings as Aston Martin jumped out into the lead after the last race ahead of Williams. Ferrari sits in 3rd place, a bit of work to do in order to catch up to Williams. They had gotten off to a really good start to the season. Mercedes, pretty much entirely driven by ourselves here on 100 points, although Sid's appearance did net a podium in one of those. And so we've got about a 9-point lead above McLaren. Alpha Tauri's a little further back on 79 with Haas on 69 points. Red Bull starting to get the wheels moving on 57 points, has the opportunity to jump a couple more spots before the end of the season. And you have Alfa Romeo and Alpine bringing up the rear. So now let's get out on track. Here we are, the first flying lap of the qualifying session. Very cloudy in this session here, but no rain forecast for either qualifying or the race in this one, so able to avoid some wetness, hopefully, although with the clouds we may see some rain come in, so we're out very early. You see us flipping it through turns 1 and 2 onto the second DRS zone. Now hard into the braking zone for turn 3 for this hairpin. Get the car pitched in and rotated. Short little blast till turn 4. The site of our only DNF in FRS so far was on lap 1 of race 1 of season 1 through turn 4, where we tangled with Habs fan Nick. But now carrying through the second sector, you're able to take a fair bit of curb there. Now hug the right, short line as much as you can. Now a very tough zone. Still haven't gotten the changes in for the new track layout. This set of corners will be completely changed the next time Real Life F1 visits Albert Park. And now on this blast, ready for one of the trickiest sections, turns 11 and 12. A very quick left-right chicane, just about keeping the car in bounds as we catch a little bit of a slide from it. And then the third DRS zone open, hard on the brakes into turn 13, your last real overtaking opportunity. And now just have to work your way through the fast right-hander and then this slow hairpin before you set up for the final corner. The best opportunity to close up to another car and try and set yourself up for the next DRS main straight, but keeping the car level, getting on the power as early as you can through that hard right-hand corner. Tons of speed to carry DRS open and cross the line, and our first lap gets through a 1:23 flat. And we're one of the first cars to set a lap this time, but we fueled up to go for back-to-back flying laps, so we're not slowing down on this one. We've lost a little bit of time through turn 1, but now we're going to try and make that up through turn 3, and we are a little bit better on the brakes, carrying a little bit less fuel, able to brake just that little bit later. And now carrying the speed through turn 5, and then 6 and 7. A lot of these right-left combination chicanes around the circuit. I think there's 3 of them, so if you can, it's very much getting that kind of concept right in order to carry the best amount of speed. That curve is slippery coming out of turn 10 there, so you got to be careful getting on the power and just getting the car hooked up. We're only about a half a tenth up on our previous best time, but we were a little bit sloppy through 11-12 last time. We just still getting a little bit of rear end shake coming through that. We are able to just maintain that delta time as Voki posts a quicker time. A full second goes into the 22 flats, nearly down into the 21s. Our target for this one was a mid 22, mid to low 22, based on the practice and testing. But again, qualifying is not my strong suit, but a much better final sector. You see crossing the line, getting the DRS open and getting ready to cross the line, long way down the straight, and we improve by almost 3 full tenths. We go to the 22.7s. So now we'll come back out once again for our second flying lap. Only the first flying lap did we fuel up for 2 runs back to back, so this time we are only carrying the requisite amount of fuel needed to do our out lap, our flying lap, and our in lap to minimize that weight. And now you can see just trying to get the power down on the curbing. They're able to pick up nearly a tenth, just over a tenth through that first part of the lap. But we have lost a little bit of that time, a little bit offline through turn 3, but much better through turn 4 there, and able to pick up another about 10th around there. So we are definitely improving significantly. It says we've set a purple first sector, so best of the session so far, but we are down in 8th at the moment. The McLaren moving out of the way as we come through, still about 2 tenths up on our previous best lap, trying to get that nose rotated and the power down, just about getting it through and holding roughly that 2 tenths of a second gap. You are going to see it ebb and flow as we start to learn where we need to compromise. But now the most important part, turn 11, 12, carrying the speed through that quick chicane. Tons of speed and using all the downforce that you can. Now 2.5 tenths up into the final sector. We had a good final sector in our last run, but you can see already gaining a tenth of a second through turn 13 there, holding just about level through turn 14, 15. Hard to get the power down, getting the car rotated. We've lost a bit of time, but now turn 16, about even on there. And so we are going to improve by about another 3.5 tenths on this flying lap, and that's going to get us down to 22.397, so 22.4 into the low mid 22s, which was about our target, but there is still some time to be found in this one. So here we are, only a minute and a half left to go in the session, out for the final flying lap, opening the DRS, getting that run up to the line. Let's see what we can do on this last flying lap, crossing the line, and we are a little bit slower down the main straight than our previous time, but here we are. Through turn 1, didn't quite get enough of the curbing that time. As you can see, we're losing time on the delta. We didn't cut or take enough of the curbing through turn 1. We'll see if we can make it up through turn 3 and 4. Now pitching the car, and car rotates very nicely that time around. Just trying to get the car through turn 5. It runs a little bit wider there than we would like. Have to make an adjustment to avoid invalidating there, but we're still right there or thereabouts with our best time into that corner, but just a little bit deep on the exit. I had to make a little bit of correction on entering the corner, and that ran us a little bit deep on the exit for the next corner. So we have run off, invalidated, and that is our session over. But here we are at the start of the race. 5 red lights up in the middle of the pack, starting 9th, and lights are out, and away we go. And it looks like a few cars have gotten a better start than us. Cameron Slater getting off the line well in the Alpine, and now we're on the outside. A little bit of contact as Cameron Slater comes, and now Cameron Slater forcing us completely off the track, trying to rejoin. Cameron Slater power down too early. We make sideways contact with Statman Joey, unfortunately, as we're rejoining, and now getting a little touch from Cryptic as he moves his way through. But it looks like we've just about kept ourselves alive through the first couple of corners, fallen down now to 11th overall, so dropping 2 positions, but we are on that soft tire, and we do have the opportunity to close right up on Cryptic, who does seem to be doing a little bit of lagging, and now a little deep, carrying that heavy fuel, not quite used to it, as Backwash Boy is going to have a little bit of a look to attack us. We are going to go outside, leave the space for him on the inside, now hard on the brakes into turn 9 as he makes contact. We left him about as much room as we could on the apex there, and he unfortunately was just not going to leave us the space on the exit portion of it, but LC Fighter backs out of that one. In lap 1, we've had plenty of action already, and that's costing us time to the cars ahead as Cryptic gets through Chem in front in the Red Bull. Cryptic showing very good pace already at the start of this one, but now we're going to settle in, try and get over all the early contacts that cost us in this one, and see if we can put our head down and get ourselves back into the points paying positions here in this second to last race of the season. But as we get to the end of lap 1, you can see we're already within that 1 second from Chem, have closed up a lot of time through that final sector. DRS not available for the first 3 laps of the race. We have to wait till lap 3 before we might be able to make a strong attack on Chem in the Red Bull. And that's also if he is falling outside of the DRS zone of Cryptic in front of him. He's lost about 7/10 to him already, although big accordioning up of the pack there as they get on the brakes into turn 3 and nobody really moving to the side to avoid it. But one thing we'll have to be careful with in this race is track limits penalties. If we can stay clean, as Cryptic makes a big mistake out of that corner and is into the barriers. That's us up into 10th place overall. We'll see if there's any damage or a virtual safety car going to be called for that one. But so far, so good. We're still running, still within touching distance of Chem, and LC is all over the back of us. Was unable to set a lap time in the qualifying session from invalidations, but he is a quick driver and is looking to catch up to his teammate. And there's the first of those track limits warnings that I was talking about. Just going to have to be careful to not pick up too many of those, as lap time really ended up hurting us last week. Picking up that extra time penalty dropped us several spots because of the late safety car that bunched the field up. But here we are now catching right up to the back of Chem, all over the gearbox. No DRS yet, but a virtual safety car deployed as we were getting ready to start an attack run. Now we'll jump back ahead now to lap 4 of 29 as that virtual safety car clears. We're back under green flag racing. And with the virtual safety car, it doesn't reset the DRS lap count like a full safety car does. So we are going to have DRS available to us on Chem as he's gone very wide through turn 11 there as we open the DRS, get on the overtake, and easy enough we're able to scoot by him after he makes that mistake through turn 11 and 12 there. Now we've got our eyes set ahead on Jinx, YNXO, 1.1 seconds ahead of us. Now we did have on the formation lap that was not shown an issue with Jinx where he started weaving right off the line and collided with us several times, disqualifying us from the formation lap rather, and causing us to start on the grid with cold tires. So that definitely hurt our launch and was why you saw some of the medium tire runners getting a better start. But now we're a little worried about potentially a desync situation with Jinx, and we'll have to wait and see if we can get his footage in that case to see if that is the case. But we are going to at this stage just kind of treat him like a race car. We got to try and make our way through the field. We've got very good pace. We're up to 7th now as cars have made mistakes early on. In a practice race earlier in the week, we had plenty of pace to stick with the likes of Voki and LC Fighter, who are, top 5 level pace drivers. So we will see if we can't do anything to try and make that work. But here we are already 0.4 of a second back of Jinx, who's gone very wide, just like Chem. So we're on the DRS, we're on the overtake, coming to the outside into the braking zone. He's moving over on us, and we make contact with the wall. Man. And he squeezes us right all the way to the wall off the track there. And we are lucky, I think, to avoid damage in that instance. But now that worry about a desync that we've only seen on the PC platforms up till now becoming an issue with him. So patience should have been the word of the day in that situation to try and get a surefire overtake. But I thought, at least at that stage, treating him as a normal car would have plenty of opportunity to make the move on him, and he would at least, leave the space. But here we are, we're using the DRS down the second straight just to close that gap right back up as we get our heads back underneath us and prepare to mount yet another attack on the Williams up ahead, as he is losing touch with Gali out in front of him already, about a 2.3 second gap between the two of them. So if we're going to get into being a factor at any point in this race, we need to clear Jinx as soon as we possibly can, as there's been plenty of action at the start of this one. And now we get on the throttle, only about a half a second back of Jinx, using some extra overtake button to close the gap, 2.5 tenths into the fast chicane, looking to see if he makes another mistake. We pick up a track limits warning, so that's 2 already now. Again, overtake, DRS in the slipstream, coming down to the inside in the braking zone, hard on the brakes, and he goes straight to the apex and even onto the grass, collects us, and sideways we go. And that is going to shoot us right down behind a few of the drivers that were still running, and only ahead of those who had to make an early pit stop for damage. But now we are all the way back down to 9th place. It was only lap 6 of 29 on this one, so we will continue to fight our way up. But now we're sitting 9 seconds behind Kem, who he had cleared a few laps ago. And now we're going to jump ahead to lap 10 of 29. And strategically, this is where we were looking to take our softs to be able to go on to a set of medium tires. Have to do a little bit of tire conservation during that, but we should be able to get those mediums all the way to the end. Down to 37 miles an hour, one of the slowest pit lanes on the calendar. Singapore is a similar speed that we had to deal with earlier in the season, but the medium tires go on, as it looks like Jinx is in the pits, went into the pits on a lap early and has gone right back through us. And you can see in the top left there, with that black and white flag, we are now carrying 3 seconds of time penalties. We picked up another warning. And so now we are going to have to deal with that penalty situation. We come back out on the track in 11th place overall with 18 laps left to go in this race, and definitely have some time to make up. 3.2 seconds to Backwash Boy, 9.5 seconds to Jinx. But let's jump ahead a couple more laps, as we are now on lap 12 of 29, as Kem is just out ahead of us as we've started to catch him up now in the DRS of him once again, trying to make the move on Kem. We're going to see if we can stay within that 1 second margin through turns 11 and 12. We're a little far back to make a move into turn 13 this time around, but it is definitely an opportunity for us to close up to him in this sector and then stay close through the final sector in order to try and make a move down the start-finish straight on that longest DRS zone. But pitching it into turn 13, only a half a second splitting us. We're down to only 1.9 seconds back of Backwash Boy in the Alfa Romeo just ahead. So we are closing up that gap as well. And now slow through the hairpin, just try and get the cars planted through that fast right-hander. And now with the DRS, with the overtake button, closing. Are we going to have enough legs to make a move? Not quite into turn 1. What we're going to see is he looks like he's got a little bit of oversteer through turn 2. And now, again, with the overtake, with the DRS open, just not quite close enough, as that 100-meter braking board is about our marker. But he's gone a little bit wide. We're going to have a little slower exit from that, but we've gone very wide. And that has run us off the track there. And another track limits warning, as we are on our way to a 6-second time penalty, as Kem in front of us carrying no time penalties so far, as we are getting near the halfway point of this race. And we've definitely lost some time running wide through turn 4 and then not having a great run through turns 6 and 7. And we are just on the bubble of that DRS zone. We're going to go ahead and hit the overtake, as right about here is where you cross and get the detection mark for the DRS zone. And we do manage to stay within that 1 second margin. He's closed up to Backwash Boy quite a bit on this lap. He's got the DRS helping him close up that Alfa Romeo, but now we are starting to hunt 2 cars. As Statman Joey is out of the session, and a virtual safety car is deployed that switches very quickly to a full safety car. Now, lap 13 of 29 here. We are on the strategy that should take us to the end of the race. So jumping ahead now, lap 16 of 29, as the safety car is coming in this lap. We are getting ready to restart this race. In the train, running 8th place overall, just trying to get a good run down the start-finish straight. And it looks like Kem gets a much better run off the corner than his teammate Gali in the other Red Bull. He's in the slipstream running that electrical deployment. Now they're going to go side by side into turn 1. We're going to look to make an attack on them through turn 2. So right across on turn 1. Full throttle up into 5th gear, and the back end just snaps on us. I've never seen the car snap that hard in 5th gear, and we pick up a collision penalty as we were spinning, as Backwash Boy just had no place to go, gets right into the side of us. And it was an inexplicable spin. I wasn't expecting the car to snap that way, as we were full throttle in 4th gear with the overtake enabled. But as soon as I picked 5th gear, the back end just snapped aggressively. So it shouldn't have been a power delivery issue, but somehow the car just lost it. Maybe some dirty air playing in effect, removing some of that downforce. We have experienced that in our career in the past. Just checking for damage real quick, but it looks like we are A-okay on that regard. But now back once again outside of the points, running 11th place overall, 9 seconds behind the points. It's just really been a tough race overall for us, as we also have Backwash Boy, who's showing pretty good pace in that recovery. Clearly didn't get any damage from the contact with me there. I was able to avoid that wing damage, it would appear, as he is right inside that DRS zone. But with that safety car coming out, 3 laps until he'll be able to use that DRS to attack me. There's some yellow flags just ahead of us as we're just kind of catching the green flag zone as it's going back to green. So it looks like whatever issue ahead was cleared, but that is Jinx now, only 4.7 seconds ahead. So clearly he's had a bit of an off, and we are expecting that coming up to him, there will be no space, no quarter given to him at all, and we're just going to have to deal with whatever happens if we're able to catch up to him on this one. But looking to have that 5-second penalty likely removed, as it's a collision penalty that just doesn't make any sense, as the car was spinning and out of control. There's no way you're going to pick up a collision penalty or a penalty from that. So the stewards will likely remove it, and we are sitting then level on penalties with Jinx, as Backwest Boy all over the back of us, though carrying 9 seconds of time penalties. I checked in the post-race, confirmed that he did not get a 5-second penalty from that collision the same way I did. So his 9 seconds are all on the track limits warning. So we've just got to try and put our head down and make our way back up. Hope other people make more mistakes in this one in order to get us back up into the points. But we had really good pace at the start of this race, and now with the medium tires getting lit up the way they were on that spin, not looking to box and change them. We still should be able to take them to the end of the race, but they're definitely not in as good of shape as they could have been. But Backwest Boy still staying within that 1 second margin behind us. We're using a ton of electrical deployment on that last lap. We actually used as the maximum allowed in order to try and stay ahead of him, and now DRS enabled. So since the detection point for this DRS zone coming up between turn 2 and 3 is the same as the main straight, that means it isn't detected till back by turn 16, the start of the last lap. So he will not get DRS down that straight, but coming through turn 9 and 10 and then on to the 11-12 chicane, that is that DRS detection point. If he's able to stay within a second, we'll put him there. But there's a mistake from him through turn 5, and he immediately drops to 1.5 seconds back, and it's easy to get the back end loose coming through turn 5. The apex curbing is not one you can really take, and you can make mistakes on that exit curbing. But jumping ahead now, 21 of 29, and Backwest Boy has regained that pace and is all over us. He's got the DRS help. We're going to just move to the right side and let him through, or attempt to let him through, as we are running fairly similar. We picked up another 3 seconds of track limits penalties in that intervening stead there. But now we saw Backwest Boy really had good pace on us, and fighting with him was just going to hurt us. As you can see, we're not really making any inroads on Jinx, now 5.1 seconds out ahead. Jumping ahead again, lap 24 of 29, we've managed to stay in the DRS zone of Backwest Boy, who now has 15 seconds of track limits penalties. So really struggling to keep that car on inside the painted lines there as we follow in. There it is, the mistake. The back end snaps on him coming through turn 5 there, and that is the mistake. I think he had a minor one in when he fell out of DRS zone last time, or DRS range last time, but was able to save it that time. Just unable to catch the back end, and unfortunate for Backwest Boy to drop out. And now we are running in P11 now, level pegging on Jinx's penalties if we're expecting that 5 seconds to be removed. And we will have to see in the coming week whether Jinx is able to provide any evidence of there being desync for those incidents where he put me in the wall and spun me out. Otherwise, he may get penalized for those as well, as those have been reported to the stewards. But we're trying to catch up to the pack, still right at about that 5 second mark with 5 laps left to go in this one. So it looks like, barring any mistakes, we are going to be just outside of the points paying positions. Now I don't know the penalty situation of the cars ahead, as oh no, Habs fan Nick and Golly Moom's dropping down the order through turn 1, and there they are, 2 cars off the track sideways, a virtual safety car deployed. We have to slam on the brakes to keep from going past and overtaking Nick under the virtual safety car. But he's gotten himself back out just ahead of us. But that is 2 drivers that we were really fighting with falling back, and they had to make a pit stop. So we're going to jump ahead to the start of the final lap. Cameron Slater 2.9 seconds just ahead of us. We're trying to stay within that 3-second margin in case he makes another mistake and picks up an extra 3 seconds worth of time penalties on the track limits. But we are up in the 9th place at the moment. You can see Golly Mooms and Habspan Nick 36 plus seconds behind us at this stage of the race. Now, I was considering, especially since Jinx picked up another 3 seconds of time penalties, I was considering making a pit stop to try and go for the fastest lap point to put on a set of softs. But I decided to try my luck with submitting the incidents to the stewards' reports to see if he would be penalized for those, and even a 5-second penalty, if I'm able to stay within 8 seconds of him, should net us another position. So we are hustling over these last couple of corners to try and stay in that 8-second margin. Although he did hit us 3 times over the course of that one, so we'll see if he potentially picks up more penalties. But QX Nemesis coming across, winning another race. Back-to-back wins for him, I believe, in the Aston Martin, and we've just about managed to close inside that 8-second margin. So all it would take is one 5-second penalty to net us one more position on that one, as he appears to bin it across the line there. And Cameron Slater out in front of us, as that extra 5 seconds is still applied. Golly Mooms and Habspan Nick going to be the last two to cross the start-finish line this time. But you can see on the timing tower, QX Nemesis and LC Fighter and Aston Martin 1-2 for the Constructors Championship leaders. Unfortunately, with the driver's title already decided, this late run of form from QX Nemesis just a little bit too little too late, although is turning in some really good laps. Johan gets his first podium of the season for AlphaTauri. MJ Povey, the 3-time now champion, finishing 4th, and Voki in 5th. Chem in 6th, Jinx in 7th provisionally, with Cameron Slater, myself, and Golly Mooms rounding out the points-paying positions. Habspan Nick just outside of the points on that one. 4 DNFs in this race. Backwash Boy, Statman Joey, Cryptic F1, and Stanier. So unfortunately, with McLaren chasing us in the Constructors Championship, no points being scored for them today. We do pick up at least 2 points, potentially 2 more depending on the penalties situations, but we'll definitely have to take a look, as LC Fighter had a tremendous drive. And considering I was pretty much level pegging on him with pace in the practice races we were doing, really a tough one to swallow, with those incidents kind of taking me out of contention. I feel like I could have been at least around there with Johan to pick up another podium on the season. But as the Aston Martin pair celebrates their 1-2 finish, I believe it's the only 1-2 finish of the season. I'd have to take a look and see and check, but a very good result for them. LC Fighter, of course, having a tremendous run over the last couple of races as well, showing really good pace. But we'll take a look and just peek at the final classifications once again. QX Nemesis picking up a win from that pole position, turned in a huge pole position lap. And now we'll take a look at the driver's standings as it is now after that result, provisionally, of course, pending any stewards' inquiries. MJ Povey adds a few points to his collection, up to 190 now, as Nemesis goes to 143, sets himself in a very solid second place, clinches second place actually, as he's now more than 25 points clear of his teammate LC Fighter in 3rd. Though that P3 is up for grabs between LC Fighter and Habspan Nick in this final race of the season coming up. We are on 74 points, just ahead of Brenschel, still within touching distance of Johan, but with Brenschel being out for most of the second half of this season, it is likely we will lock down a 5th place finish in this championship. Voki, big jump up the tables, up now into 8th on 52 points. El Gloverino sliding back down into 9th, as those two now split the AlphaTauri teammates. Issei on 39 points still. Cryptic F1 picking up to 35 points, as Jinx picks up a few points and jumps ahead of Chem, who also jumps ahead of Midfalcon and Pepmeister. Golly Mooms only the 2 points in that one. He did pick up the fastest lap. Sid did not participate, so stays on 13 points. Statman Joey and Stanier both out of the race. Backwash Boy also towards the back. Cameron Slater, though, adding 4 points to his collection, potentially more if Jinx picks up a penalty. Could be just right on the tail of Backwash Boy. before heading to the last race of the season. So still some positions to be determined in Brazil next week out, but let's see what effect that has on the Constructors' Championship. They have Aston Martin extending their championship lead, 261 points now with Williams on 227. Quick maths would say that I believe that is just about enough to clinch the Constructors' Championship ahead of Williams, but Ferrari still pretty much locked down into P3, unable to close 60 points to Williams to make a move, as we are unable to close 60 points and are in fourth, though we still have to fend off both AlphaTauri and McLaren. They can still attack us and take us in the final round of the season, so we're looking to lock down that fourth place in the championship. Haas is on 69 points still. Red Bull picks up a few points here, is on to 67. Alfa Romeo picks up a few from Voki as well, on to 59, and Alpine picking up a few from Cameron Slater in that one, though they still sit P10, up onto 43 points now in this one. We'll take a look at the calendar. Of course, there was the changes made at Japan and the Netherlands, but next week we head to Brazil for the rightful season finale at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we will see if we can have a better turn of events than we did last week, or this week in Australia. Definitely had good pace in Australia. We'll see if we can find that sort of pace in Brazil. It's a track we've raced on a few times and have had decent success, I would want to say, but definitely looking to try and maybe finish out the season on the podium. I think a top 5 would be a big result for us, as that would make it very tough for McLaren or AlphaTauri to catch us. But I will catch you guys next week for the final race of Season 4. Thank you all for joining and watching throughout the course of this season. It's always very much appreciated. Y'all have a good one. Peace.